straight. That might help.
And welcome to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Terb, your local real estate expert with the Terb Group, a.k.a. Super Terb, a.k.a. Coach Terb, located here in Raleigh, North Carolina, or what we like to call the Triangle. And I'm here for episode 81. And I've got a great friend of ours joining me today that makes our world much easier, people. So agents that are watching or listening to this in Apple and Spotify land, you're going to want to know Fred real well because he makes our job a tad bit easier, takes care of our sellers, and in turn, we make max value. Fred is the managing principal of Show Homes here in Raleigh, and he helps us with our homes getting staged. He does all price points as well as home services in regards to preparing homes to sell, whether that's painting, carpet, contract work. We'll get into all that, but I want to say thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And I'm just excited to have you tell your story and tell everyone why you love what you do. But first, real quick, I just have a little real estate update. I always talk different topics. Yesterday, I had a podcast yesterday, and we were talking about pricing. Well, today is the matter of fact, since you're here on the show, is talking about let's get a game plan now. I think we've got 6 listings upcoming for next year. Because everybody, if you're living in a home, they want to enjoy the holidays. It's hard to believe Halloween's next week. We're going to have Turkey Day, then we'll have the holidays, Christmas, and people normally do not want to sell when they have homes decorated. They do, but sometimes like, you know what, let's let the dust settle. Let's have January, February get here because technically our spring market is February to June. So the idea here, guys, is let's get a game plan. If you're at all thinking about listing your property, hopefully it's going to be with us here in the Triangle. Reach out. We'll come out. We'll get a game plan together. The great thing about Fred, too, is he also helps us get our homes prepared to sell. So the top 3 things I tell sellers, and we'll get into this when we talk, is declutter, paint, carpet. Those are your top 3 things. No particular order. Usually declutter is number 1, regardless if you're still living there. Some may need to paint. Some may need to do carpet. It just depends. And then other than that is whether we need to stage the property or not. So let's not wait. Let's get a game because we're going to blink and it's going to be 2025. So let us know how we can help you accomplish real estate goals. We're going to take a quick break. And on the other side, Fred Pierson.
All right. Look forward to it.
And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Michael Terb, your local real estate expert with the Terb Group, a.k.a. Coach Terb, a.k.a. Super Terb. And I started this podcast to talk to local business owners, entrepreneurs, agents, coaches, you name it, have them tell their story, and most importantly, have a great time. So I know I've said your name several times, Fred, but tell everybody your name and where you're from.
Fred Pierson and from the Triangle. Been here for the last 25 years.
So let me ask you this. On your profile, I just think of you as the owner of Show Homes. That's correct, right? Even though you're managing principal.
My wife and I own it together.
Perfect. Now, what's your wife's name? I know.
Lorraine.
Lorraine. I'll tell you, Lorraine, you guys work very well together, too, by the way. And how long have you been the owner of Show Homes here in Raleigh?
About 15 years.
And is it independently owned, or do you have show homes throughout the country?
We do. We are part of a national franchise.
All right. And then what does Show Homes offer for both sellers out there that are listening, as well as any agents that say, you know what, I need I'm kind of let the cat out of the bag here saying stager, but I know there's more than just that.
Well, Show Homes is a one-stop shop for both sellers and agents and brokers. It's not just staging. Staging is part of what we offer, but we're Show Home Staging and Home Services. And that covers a number of areas. We do consults where we have a full-time designer who can come in, walk through the property, and help either with buyers or sellers. We also do full staging, partial staging. We do restyles. Those are for seller-occupied homes where we come in and we try to use a bit of theirs with ours and create the same environment as if we would with a vacant house.
That's great to know, because a lot of times the people, you don't want to move everything out of it, but you kind of come and you get this, the feng shui. What's the word I'm thinking of? Make it feel
feng shui.
Yeah, it makes things look, because that's good to know in regards to getting things prepared to sell, where you can utilize the things that are maybe already in the house. How many homes do you see where you do a full staging versus a partial, or I guess it just depends, but
that's a good question. I mean, I would say about 20% are restyles versus full staging. And there's many levels of staging. Show Homes does full staging, shows like a model home. And we have set packages for realtors where we're creating we do all the staging for EPCON communities, which is an over 55 community. But the main thing we do is we've got 3 things that differentiate our product from every other staging company. For one thing, the market has changed. I think a lot of sellers are living in the 2022 post-COVID, and houses were going for 30 to 40,000, sold in one weekend. It was
Multiple
crazy.
offers.
It was crazy.
High due diligence,
and the needle is swinging in the other direction now. So properties need to be fairly and correctly priced to market. They need to be in show condition, whether that be staging or in just houses.
Look at that. We saved it. We're all right. Plus, my buddy can edit out the audio here. So keep going. I apologize.
No, absolutely. So I'll stay with pricing. Pricing is critical. Buyers to a tendency have kind of moved to the sideline. They're no longer offering above list bids. So sellers need to be aware of this, that those days are gone. It is slowly moving to a buyer's market. But if the house is in great condition, staged well, will still sell in that 2-week initial period. I can't stress enough that the first 30 days of any property are the most critical days to be able to get and solicit an offer and get to a contract to close. 3 things that make us different is our staging is full and detailed. We use a designer and a stager. Stagers, by their tendency, find what works in a house and repeat themselves. So to keep them honest, we use a designer and a stager. A designer comes from color and texture. There'll be a subliminal color that flows throughout the house. A stager, placement and flow. Right size sofa, right size to fit the walkways of the house. So having 2 cooks in the kitchen actually make a better product. Also, when we price based on the current market, we price for 60 days, but we're the only company that gives an additional 30 days if needed to get through due diligence. We're noticing a higher rate of back out by buyers. They wait till Friday at 5 o'clock. And then, so having that extra 30 days is a peace of mind and makes a difference. And then the last part is our staging is full and detailed. So we're talking rugs, accessories, lighting, as well as soft and hard case goods. It's going to be a full detail.
It's gorgeous. And tell everyone, I know it may vary, but what's your common, I don't say package, but I know usually it consists of 3 or 4 rooms, family room.
It's basically the whole point of staging is to create an emotional connection with a buyer who walks in the house. They're going to look at 3 houses. The tendency is if they look at 2 vacant and 1 staged, they're going to be emotionally connected to the one that's staged. Staging is critical. I would also tell you that everything has to flow. When you walk into a house, when a buyer walks into a house and they see a great entry and a home office and then a dining room, and they walk down the hallway and into the family living room and then open to the breakfast eat-in kitchen area and then the master bedroom, master bath, up or down. That is typical. What happens is penny wise, pound foolish. If you're doing that whole first floor and you leave 1 room out, you have that emotional connection. They love this. They love that. They walk down, everything connects. The colors are subliminal. They flow, and then boom, there's an empty room. That disrupts the magic. So we always stress that having usually first floor and then master up or down be completely staged is what works to connect with buyers.
No, it's great. And you may have this stat. Hope you do. If not, you can give me an idea. What is the percentage of homes that aren't staged versus staged, maybe how quickly they sell or for price?
So there is an organization called RACA, which is a national staging real estate organization for stagers. They came out with some stats that 92% of houses will sell faster at a higher price if staged than left vacant. And it's common sense that you go into a vacant house and you can see all the cobwebs, the dust, versus when it comes in and it's fully appealing, that tangible quality allows the buyer to connect with a house.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, and then what do you think, because, you know, we sell at all price points and everything, and do you think some home you can get away without staging?
Well, I mean, I think we have to look at the market as a whole. In our mind, we look at the 400 and below, which for the most part, due to the competitiveness of the buyer, it's affordable to most demographics, and as such may not need the staging as much as the 4 to 9.
Makes total sense. Because you're also competing with newer construction and newer things. And I mean, I know that age of the home may be one thing, but as far as just the aesthetics of what you walk into.
Absolutely. And once we get into the luxury market, which in the triangle, I will consider 1.1 and above, that market still moves. That buyer is still very active, extremely picky, knows exactly what they want, wants the house in perfect condition. And so what I think is beginning to struggle in the triangle is the 650 to 9. That's really where we were all very used to. We would stage it on Thursday, photograph live on the weekend, under contract Monday. We'd be back in 2 weeks. I'm afraid that party's over. So now it's much more competitive. That's where pricing and condition, and that's the other side of our business. So we specialize in houses that have been lived in for 15, 20 years. They need to be updated, carpet, paint, quartz, stainless appliances, light fixtures changed, popcorn ceiling removed, handyman work done throughout the house. We've been in place for 15 years. Our vendors, and we work on a cost plus basis. So clients get our discount, not our markup. We provide a packet with all receipts at the end because it may be a deduction towards the expense of selling the house. And we charge a flat fee under our general liability, our workman's comp. And then I personally manage all of the renovations and updates. We work with investors as well as we do with Airbnbs and homeowners that are moving out or downsizing. In fact, that is one of our largest markets now in the triangle, is the downsizing market. As a result of, and as everyone can tell by their Wake County tax bill, we have all seen a 25 to 30% increase in valuations of our properties. As such, folks I'm in my mid 60s. We're almost there where we're looking to downsize. We have a lot of our retirement equity in our home, and we're ready to make that transition in a few years. We are offering a service where we come and work with that, because what we're seeing is these folks are ready to sell. They approach Ida or you or and the Terb group, and what happens is you come, you meet with them, you establish a base price, they walk through the house, and they get overwhelmed with 30 years of clutter. The attic is full, the garage is full, they're getting on, and they just it overwhelms them, and what they do is they back out of the agreement. So what we've come to do is fill that gap. We are now coming in with we partnered with a company that will provide labor, and we believe in the 4-color method, which is when you're overwhelmed with 30 years of living in a house, you buy the Post-it notes in red, green, black, and yellow, and you post sticky notes on everything: keep, sell, donate, store. And that can be done by the homeowner, where they just put the sticky pads. Then we have a team come in, and we take everything to donation. We take everything to the Wake County Convenience. We will put it in storage for them. We recommend drive-up storage, not the new fancy wheel a cart in, go up an elevator storage. We also love Zippy Shell, which is like the one that the cube or the pod. Zippy Shell brings a cage on a trailer, drops the cage, the homeowner or we load it up, and it's taken to a heated, cooled storage facility and put on a big shelf. When they find their new house or out of state, it can be delivered to the driveway of their new location for them to unload, or our team to do that. So the downsizing transition of homeowners in the triangle has increased 3 to 4 times.
I bet. I can see that. Well, what you're describing too is just you make everything easy for the seller and for also us, because that was one thing too, is I wanted to comment, is how quickly you guys can also stage a home. I mean, it seems like within 48 hours, because we're working on a timeline. we need photos, measurements. But I mean, usually you guys say allow us 2 days. I swear it's in like 5 minutes. I don't know how fast you guys do it, but what's usually the time that you need to get
I appreciate it because
Yeah.
I think with the change in the market, and as I always say, Show Homes is not the largest staging company. We're just rated the highest.
like
As such, we don't market, we don't advertise. We are strictly word of mouth. I can't tell you a third of my business is, hi, were you referred by your realtor? And it's, oh no, I found you on the internet. You had 70 Google reviews at 5 stars. I mean, I can't believe it. That drives a third of our business. The reality of that is with the current market conditions, we are now booking 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
We have to, just because of the demand. Staging does make that difference. If I could say over the 15 years, I would say 80% of our properties that are staged get offers within 30 days. I used to shorten that to 15. I think the market's changed. But even then, to have the peace of mind that get an offer. Now, my job's not to get full price. My job is to get someone to love that house and make an offer, and then you take it from there and close it down.
We get it done. So how many people on your team?
We've got Christy, our designer. We've got Peggy, one of our stagers. We have Lorraine, my wife, affectionately known as She Who Must Be Obeyed. She runs the design side. I have the most amazing right-hand guy. He's my handyman. He drives our truck. He's our load master. He oversees the staging. And Jose is a critical element of our team. We keep it tight. We're 5 or 6 people, and then we have labor as needed for moving. But we keep it as a very tight team. My folks have been with us for 8 years.
That's great. I mean, that just shows you the culture that you have. But I mean, everything operates great. Communication's awesome. And then comes to one of my last questions. Where do you service? Because I know you're Raleigh, but I mean, is it throughout the Triangle? Is there a certain radius that you go to?
Actually, the Triangle is a large area.
Yeah.
We do have Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, but we have another sister franchise, Show Homes Greater Raleigh. Leanne is great, and she actually has South Raleigh territory. We work together. She does houses in my territory. We will do houses in her territory. It's all about taking care of the client.
Yep.
And so our motto is proactive communication, attention to detail, amazing customer service. I was in 2 industries before. I ran hotels for Starwood, and those 3 things will get any business doing well.
Well, it's what we try to accomplish here with our team is create raving fans, because we're a referral-based business, and create raving fans. They're going to say, "Hey, gotta call Fred."
The referral, you're absolutely right. Every time I see Yada, it's always she's been referred from someone she sold a house.
Yep. What's the biggest challenge you face?
I mean, I know it sounds terrible. I wish there were more days in the week that we could do more, but we are very, very blessed that we have a great team. We have a great warehouse and logistics, and we do a great job taking care of our clients. I just wish we could do more.
No, that's good. That's your biggest challenge. That's awesome. And then just tell everybody real quick, or take your time, why you love what you do.
I wish I had known about owning my own business a couple of careers ago. I originally was a pilot. I went to a military school so I could start flying at 16. I went to a college called Embry-Riddle. I was in aviation for about 18 years, ran private jet facilities. In fact, you may remember the old Piedmont Airlines.
Yes.
I worked for Piedmont. I ran their hub here at Raleigh-Durham back in the days of the American hub, for those of us who can remember.
So my dad there. That's how we got here. It was American. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
My dad. Did you know my dad flew?
Well, hold it. Yes, of course I know your dad.
Yeah,
flew, and a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, he was a captain of the 727 back in the day, and we moved from San Jose to Raleigh when I was 7 in '86 because of the hub opening. And Mom had no clue where we were going, but Dad did his cadets in Kinston, and in the Air Force, and so that's what brought us this way. And then Mom started selling right then in '87, and history. And then actually, the first brochures that Mom had is in the front, and my dad created it.
I've seen that.
And he actually put it in all the operation rooms as he flew. So Mom's first couple of years was all flight attendants, pilots, mechanics. And the best thing about it is, I love my mom. She's a little geographically challenged. She'd have all the pilots because it was obviously way before GPS and everything. She'd have the pilots. My dad would map out where they're going that day, and she'd have the pilots sit in the front and act like, "Hey, just tell us where to go." And then, of course, they ate it up. And then she went to the same neighborhoods and just sold there.
I love your dad because he flew aircraft that, back in Korean War days, the F-100, the 105 Starfighter. These are amazing aircraft that you don't see maybe at air shows anymore. And his stories, he knew one of my heroes in aviation, Bob Hoover. He actually, because Bob Hoover was a test pilot. Mm-hmm. So no, I know we get off on a tangent, but
no, that's what this was about. That's awesome. No, that's great. I mean, I didn't even know you were in aviation. We did that, but I learned something every time I do this. Is really cool. And I vaguely remember Piedmont, but that's really neat. But you were saying, so then
that brought us to the triangle. And I got to tell you, as a flight pilot and running fixed base facilities, I've lived all over the U.S., Palm Beach and Dallas, and we saw the triangle 25 years ago, and it was a no-brainer. You got the mountains, you got the beaches, you got the universities, you got the medical facilities, you got a change of seasons. And I actually switched careers and I moved into hospitality and ran hotels locally here for about 15 years. And then 2008, 2009 hit, right? Yeah. We had an opportunity to buy an existing business, this franchise. It was something my wife and I could do together. And we've been very fortunate that we have rocked it, and we love what we do.
That's great. That's awesome. So real quick, anybody listening, tell them how to reach out to you. If you have an agent that's listening, says I need to get my home listed stage or a seller.
The first thing you should do is Google Show Homes Raleigh and read our reviews.
There you go.
Once you do that and you still feel comfortable, you reach out to me. We're 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 919-244-9688. I'm happy to come visit clients on weekends because they're working during the week. So we do assessments to determine what's needed. And then we partner with, And
then you guys feel free to DM me, direct message me, and I'll connect as well. But we're excited for 2024 has been a good year. I'm excited for 25 and just keep on going. So before you leave, though, got some rapid questions.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Favorite food?
Oh my God, marzipan. I grew up in Europe.
Beautiful. Favorite restaurant? Doesn't have to be local. It could be local. You can always say one local, one somewhere else.
Okay. Well, how can you go wrong with Ruth Chris? But in Blowing Rock, one of our favorites is that your mom was just there. Yeah. The best seller at the Inn at the Ragged Gardens. Blowing Rock is our retreat. That's where we go to regroup and get it. But that's my favorite restaurant there.
Gorgeous. How did Blowing Rock do with the storm? I know everybody.
Very lucky. It's really weird. Banner Elk, 12 miles away.
That got hit.
And I think it all came down to the valleying of the channel of the rain. When you get 20 inches, if you're at the bottom of the valley like Banner Elk, completely wiped out. We used to go to the Woolly Worm Festival for 20 years with the kids. And that poor town got just devastated. 10 miles away, Blowing Rock in great condition, maybe one or two situations. But they're dying for business. So, hey, everyone, go up there. If you ever want to go back in time to a beautiful main street like Carmel, that's what Mom said.
Are you able to go? Is 40 open all the way
there?
Yes.
Okay. You want to go 4421. Deep Gap, the Blue Ridge Parkway is shut down. Mm-hmm. Just run through Boone. You'll still be there.
Be right there. Cool. Favorite band?
Oh, my God.
That's why I love these questions.
So, I wish I'd been prepped because
this one it makes it more fun.
Then I try to think of something nobody's ever heard of. But I'm a kid of the 60s, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of that music from the 60s resonates with me. Cat Stevens, I know it's corny, but
Did you like Elvis?
No, I was in Europe. So I was more
Beatles.
Yes. I mean, I have a story about the Beatles, but we'll leave that for another time.
I'm excited to hear it.
Well, I had a nanny, and she took me to a Beatles concert in 1966 in London.
Wow. How old were you?
I was about 7 years old. I mean, I don't think she was supposed to do it. But I thought it was really loud and everybody was screaming and I'm a kid.
Dude, that's amazing.
But
that'd be so cool if you had the ticket stub for that. Maybe you do.
Oh, no, it was.
That would have been amazing. What a great story. How about your favorite cocktail? if you do drink something.
Listen, typical English gin and tonic, 2 limes.
That sounds good tonight. Like Thursdays, they call Friday Eve. So that sounds pretty good. Do you have a favorite sports team?
I'm a soccer guy. I've had a soccer team for 30 years.
Who's that?
No, Phoenix. When I moved here in 95, I started soccer. And I started a soccer team named after out of the ashes of old age emerges winged fire. We were all late 30s, and we wanted to get back into the game. So over 30s became over 40s, which is now over 50s. And we go to State Cup as an over 55 team.
Dude, that's badass. I love that.
But if you have to know, it's Manchester United. Yeah. In spite of everything that happened.
Have you been over there seeing a game in person?
Oh, yes. I mean, my sister lives in Kent in the south of England. And so,
cool. That's awesome.
We'd love to go.
What do you like to do when you're not working?
Well, I guess soccer takes part of it. But I have a weird hobby. I collect 18th and 19th century silver. Georgian silver, and
how did you get into that?
I think my family inherited some family silver, and then when you learn about the history of it and the fact that silver throughout the ages. So, for example, we go to weddings, and when kids grow up, it was very de rigueur to give silver as a wedding gift. You don't see it anymore, but that's one of the things that when the kids get married, we give silver it's something, not just the 25th anniversary, but it's a gift that stays with you and use, whether it's a gravy boat or a decanter for wine. 30 years from now, they'll look at that and they use it and they'll remember who gave it to them at their wedding.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. That's cool. So what's one thing, now I've already learned a couple things about you I didn't know, but what's something else that someone wouldn't know about you, or something that you like to do? Maybe something that would be kind of surprising.
Well, I usually default to the silver because that's a weird thing. It's hard to say. Not growing up in the U.S., I'm more of a European mentality. So I don't really have anything non-standard.
Well, the fact that you grew up in Europe is something I wouldn't know. Where's the best place you visited?
Wow. Well, now there you're opening up. So I work really hard. And I also believe in playing really hard. So a couple of trips that I took with my family is because I was in aviation. We went to Yellowstone, and then we flew into Banff. And so we did helicopter tour of the ice fields at 12,000 feet when they were still there. And we took a picnic to the wilderness from one of the hotels up there. And it was great. I had 2 children and my wife in the helicopter, and we were overweight. And I had a picnic basket that was like 150 pounds. They had to get a second helicopter to fly the food. And we get into the wilderness. We land between these 2 rivers, and the water in the mountains in Canada is like a type of a blue because of the minerals. And so we land, we walk, we're in wilderness, right? And the pilot brings up this big can. I go, "What's that for?" He goes, "That's in case we see any bears." And I'm thinking, I've got a picnic basket with all the food. So that was just one story that comes to mind. But another one is Europe. I take the kids to Europe. We did the train around Switzerland, the Glacier Express.
Oh, I bet that.
And those memorable events that you can instill in your kids will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
That's it. Where's a place you haven't been but you want to go?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot. My sister lived in Scotland for a long time, and I've never really explored the northern part of Scotland. So that is one area that, you take your hiking boots and you go walk the wilds of Scotland.
I want to go play some golf over there.
And Ireland, listen, I'd love to do
Ireland. I've never been there.
Castles and gardens, right? Yeah. You just rent a car and you visit castles and gardens.
Drink Guinness.
Yeah, and absolutely have a pint.
Heck yeah. So you could have dinner with 2 people, be dead or alive. Who you have dinner with?
Well, the 2 people in my office, I'm very fortunate. I've got a signed letter from Winston Churchill right in 1942 in December when he was at the Wallows before we joined the war. And that's, he was he had a lot of failing characteristics, but he was able to lead a nation during the war that quickly discarded him. But Churchill, and then I'm big on the founding fathers. I really, again, another man with a lot of failings, Ben Franklin, but he was an engineer with people skills. What he accomplished for the United States in France, in his ability, unlike John Adams, to get the French to support us. And don't fool yourselves. The only reason we beat England was because Ben Franklin got the French to give up the money to provide the Navy and the support, because we couldn't do it ourselves. Yeah. Remember, Washington was begging Congress for money, and we didn't have any money.
Right.
I'm sorry, those two.
I think that's great.
Ben Franklin.
That would be a heck of a conversation.
Churchill.
So I love it. So here's the last question. I started the rapid questions probably started about 30 some odd. I don't know how long ago, but this was a question I asked every guest, and I think it's really cool. There's no wrong answer, obviously, but it's the best advice you've ever received, and by who?
So here's something I came up with. I'm 65, 66. This is my own. The older I get, the more I realize, the less I know.
I love that.
When I was 30, I thought I knew everything. You couldn't tell me a damn thing. And here I am at 65, and I go, and I think it's true that age does that overall. So, yeah, I think that's a very true statement.
Yeah, I love that. That's very cool. Man, Fred, appreciate you coming on, dude. This has been
My
so
pleasure,
much fun.
Michael, thank you.
It's been a lot of fun. And so not only, I mean, like I said, this is what makes this fun, but mainly also want to be able to promote you and appreciate everything you do to help us and our clients. So if you're listening out here and you need a great, stager, or, getting your home ready to sell, obviously reach out to me. We'd love to sell it, but we've got the best people here to help us get it ready and get you max value. So if you're at all wanting to be on the show, you're a local business owner, entrepreneur, want to tell your story, please reach out to me. And then obviously if we can help you accomplish any of your real estate goals, please reach out to us. Again, it's Michael Turbot, your local real estate expert with the Terb Group, Coldwell Banker HBW, aka Super Terb, with Fred Pierson, owner of Show Homes Raleigh. Until next time, remember, who you work with matters. See ya.